I think I'm gonna call you Kel for the podcast.
It's a little easier. I get it. I've dealt with that.
yeah. So let's start by just introducing you.
Mhm.
I can introduce you, and then you can add on to whatever you think you should add on to. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So Kalpan and I. Oh wait, yeah, I just said Kalpan again.
Gotta make it easier for our audience,
Yeah.
man.
So Cal and I, we met freshman year in college. We have been friends ever since. So I think that's what, more than 8 years now.
Yeah.
7 years, 7 8 years.
2013 spring.
14.
14 spring. Sorry,
14
yeah.
spring. So yeah, since then. And we did computer science together at Penn State. Kalpan's been working as a software engineer ever since.
Yeah.
He
Software
graduated.
engineer.
And what else? So Kalpan grew up in India. He came to US when he was 15,
Yeah, around that. It was like 2011. So
2011. And then Kalpan moved to Ohio.
we were in New Jersey for a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
My dad was trying to learn how to do business in US since
Mhm.
he wasn't really used to it.
Okay.
But once he learned it, we decided to buy it. So only reason we went to Ohio was the business was really cheap. Like the stores at that time were going for like 50,000, like 100,000. Like here, Pennsylvania, the gas stations are like $1 million or so at the time, but it was like a good practice ground. So my dad bought a place out in middle of nowhere, Ohio, and he did the business there until I went away for college. Actually,
Do a lot of people move to Ohio because of that?
I would think so. I know couple families that moved there because of that. So I think that's a pretty normal thing because it's just things are so cheap that you can practice around. And then the thing is, if you're social, as like an Indian, probably the worst place you can go is Ohio. The nearest Indian is like 100 miles away.
I can imagine.
Yeah, so it's like you practice there for a little bit, because you don't want to take a risk directly buying like $1 million business, when you're new to the country. So you build up a little bit of your credit as well. Also, like you try to learn how the business is done, and then you buy like it's just a steps.
How does let's say you move to the country, how does that work actually, the whole process of getting $1 million? You have to apply for a loan, I'm assuming, or you have some family that helps you out.
Yeah.
Right.
The loan's gonna be quite hard. Even if like you're from here, it's still pretty hard, like because it's $1 million, right? So usually you have partners. So for us, it was my uncle. He partnered up, even the smaller amount and also with the big gas station. So he's been
Okay.
The family members definitely help.
But even then, $1 million a lot of amount. It's a very large amount. So how do you go about and get funded for that?
Yeah, so we got lucky. My uncle's pretty well off. So a lot of the funding kind of came from him. Yeah.
All right. So he was able to, I guess, have give you put the down payment.
Yeah, he was able to help with that. And right now, so like we're buying another store right now. So the way we went about the funding for that was we used our first business as like, hey, we can like it's like kind of like a not a collateral, but like you kind of show the income potential.
And you also show that you are able to pay off the loan, right?
Yeah, so it helps a lot. And I think we have 2 other partners.
Okay.
So it's
and what about, I know some people start by working at stores and then they have certain percentages of the business, even though they're just working there, and the other people who are who own the business, they're silent partners. Is that how people start usually, or is that not the norm? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I've seen that model. So at least from what I and my dad think is that when you start as like a job, it's kind of hard to move to a business side of things. I haven't seen a lot of people who like work their way into the partnership in the store.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not that common.
No, it's not very common. But
so let's say you are the owner right now, right? And you want to try and set up a new gas station or new business or new chain. You want to expand your business.
Yeah.
You would want a manager or somebody who can take care of the business at the branch that you are not present.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So what's the incentive for them other than the pay? Or is it just a really high pay?
No, you do find someone who's gonna at least own like 10-20% of the business, and they can run the day-to-day business. So you find someone, and it's a lot of contacts, but usually you through friend of a friend, you'll find someone who doesn't have the money quite yet but has a good business acumen. So you use them to be like, hey, I'll give you 20% stake.
So that goes back to what I said, right? Like,
but they don't. It's not usually someone from your employee pool. It's someone that you've kind of known in your circle, someone who came from India or like somewhere else.
Okay.
But someone who's like never from. It's usually not from your employee pool.
Okay, so you moved here, you own, and your family owns a business right now as well, and you're trying to expand that. So how was that process like, coming from India to Ohio and studying there?
Studying there I was kind of very quiet, just kind of keeping to myself. I had a couple friends, but and we hung out. There was this one friend. She actually came over to my place, tried Indian food. She loved it. I would go to her place. We had like a nice D&D club, so we were playing that. And then we were also we would like have like game nights, basically like Risk and D&D and all that. So it was fun.
Okay, so how was the cultural shock though?
It was quite a lot. So I didn't know a lot of English when I moved here. I studied in Gujarati medium, right? So a lot of my terminology was missing. So at first, I think that was kind of the reason why I was so kind of keeping to myself. There was a little bit of a language barrier, a little bit of a culture difference. They put me in ESL Advanced the first year, so I had a lot of other kids in the class that were similar situation as me, so like a little bit of a connection there.
I'm sure there were other people from other countries, right? Not just Indians in those ESL classes. Yeah. Was it easy to make connections with them?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. Because you have that common struggle. You're trying to understand, and sometimes you say the wrong words.
And not everyone speaks English properly. Yeah, exactly. I can imagine. Yeah.
So you're kind of making similar mistakes. Sometimes you laugh at like the same, like I get you.
Yeah. You get it, and you get the pauses. When people are struggling, you're like, I know what you mean.
Yeah, sometimes you can tell, because what they're trying to say as well. So you're like, don't worry about it. Like half the sentence, I got you.
What about, so when you did that, so something that I found very different when I was doing college is that it's impossible to connect with people who live here. Mm-hmm. It was easy for me to connect with people who came from outside the US.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to connect very well with people who grew up here. Did you feel the same way throughout high school?
Yeah, the high school, I kind of felt a little bit that way. But then I think what I kind of got into was I was watching a lot of TV shows and movies. So I had something in common now that I could connect with. I remember like the first, so I attended this music class, music and film. And there was these two guys, and we kind of bonded on like talking about Megan Fox. We were high school kids.
Yeah. You bonded with Machine Gun Kelly.
Exactly.
I imagine he must be in high school at the time as well.
Yeah. So the joke was they were trying to convince me that she was a trans woman. And I was like, no, there's no way she's a trans woman.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess I know your experience in college was a lot different compared to high school, right? It was a lot easier for you to make friends from friends who grew up in America versus friends.
Actually, I did have a lot of trouble in the beginning as well. So it was the similar situation. Like I had to force myself almost to like start talking to other people. Like when my parents dropped me off, they were actually worried I wasn't gonna make any friends, so they went to the RA and they like introduced me to them, and they're like,
that's
make sure you
amazing.
make some friends. The classic Indian thing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Kudos to your parents, man.
Yeah, because it wasn't just them. Like because my uncle and aunt came as well
Yeah.
to drop me off,
Yeah.
and they also went with them. Like it's just like 4 Indian parents, just like at the RA's room.
That is like, what the hell is happening, man?
Yeah.
No, okay. So I get it. So how did you open up? How was your experience basically?
It was so the first week. What happened was the original roommate I was assigned. He moved to a closer campus room. He had some leg issues, so he moved away. Like so, I was just alone for the week and a half. I just had nobody, no friends, nothing. So I was like so down. And so eventually I was just like, I gotta do something about this. I can't just live like this. So I started making a lot of friends, and that's when I met Aishwarya.
Okay.
I started just talking to her in our classes.
Wait, which classes did you guys take?
Yeah.
I think I mistook her for a different friend. Okay,
Yeah.
I remember in computer science courses.
Actually, we met up in chemistry class.
Okay.
And what happened was then I realized she's in my art history class.
Ah.
Art history was a subject that's like, I used to find art history very boring.
Mhm.
So I would just go and sleep in that class. She actually paid attention. So, I was like, I'll make her friend. I'll get free notes.
Did you actually get free notes though?
Oh, yeah. She's very nice.
Okay. Damn it! I should have made her friend as well.
Yeah, that's your mistake. Yeah. I think that was like my achievement throughout college. I made friends that would help me so much in all these classes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I guess I was one of those as well.
100%. Yeah. Computer science and maths.
Okay. So you started making friends after first few days in the in college. When would you say your experience really started to differ?
I would say after the sophomore year, once I started hanging out with my computer science friend, you met them,
Mhm.
Phil and all those guys. My experience changed quite dramatically. Like up until that semester, I kind of hung out with the same people,
Mhm.
like the same Indian friends that we had.
Yeah, people who are easier to connect with you.
Exactly.
And stuff,
Yeah.
which most people do. Yeah.
Yeah, and they were like very social, and I was like kind of in the peripheral. Like I was getting all the benefits of them being social. Like they had a lot of friends that I was kind of just meeting through them, and so I had a good social life. But then I think once we got into a major and started taking more computer science focused classes, I started meeting these other new people, and like I kind of connected with them just from like mindset perspective, like or like personality were very similar and stuff like that.
I know you used to go out and drink with them.
Yeah.
You went there a couple of times, and that's where you guys connected a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I think we were together at the time.
Yeah, exactly. I think Phil, like, so we weren't going to the gym anymore. So Phil was like, I'm looking for a new gym buddy, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm trying to get fit, so I'll go with you. And then from there, I think the whole like friendship sprouted from there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so natural when things like this it's meant to happen, and they
Exactly,
happen, right? Okay, so let's fast forward to maybe the senior year. I think you were looking to get a job. Oh, even before that, you actually were one of the first people to get internships at Amazon that I know of,
Yeah.
right?
I was actually really worried.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Uh-huh.
Like I was so scared I wasn't gonna get into any internship or anything, right? Like I walked away. I went with like, I think it was like 50 or 70 resumes. I ran out.
I also remember you taking interviews in my room because for some
Yeah.
reason you thought you crack interviews in my room.
Like your room is lucky for me. I also had this superstition. I would call my cousin in India right before all of my interviews, and I'll be like, "Wish me luck. You are a lucky person. Like every time I talk to you, I get like good interview questions."
you bothered a lot of people to get clear
Yeah,
through this.
100%.
I don't think you paid us back the due amount, man.
My friendship is the good about.
Okay, so let's fast forward actually now to senior year. You were trying to graduate, trying to find a job. How was that experience?
It was honestly, I was quite more confident than my internship search. There's obviously a lot of pressure from parents, right? Because they thought I was like failure. They're just like, yeah, you're not getting a job. A little bit exaggerating.
Only a little bit.
But yeah, so I was like starting to worry, I didn't want to go back to Amazon at the time, so I started. I think similar situation, but I was a little bit more confident that I'll end up somewhere. I just didn't know where. So I applied to a lot of companies. I think that confidence helped a lot in terms of like the first interview, like the just getting my foot in the door. Because I came off like I knew my things.
And obviously interning with Amazon at the time was a big deal.
Yeah,
Amazon
exactly.
wasn't that big of a company.
Yeah,
and everyone knew that this cloud thing they're doing is super cool and no one else is doing it.
yeah.
So
I got in very early.
You
for
got
sure,
in
yeah.
very early.
Very early.
That is true. I remember especially a couple of us were talking in the lab that, oh, check this AWS thing that they came up with a few years ago, and everyone is trying to copy now, and it's so cheap that no one thinks it's a good business model and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Okay, so and then you ended up joining Capital One, and you've been working there since that.
Yeah,
right?
It's been like 4.5 years ish.